a quick start. So, do you want to do the welcome?
Yeah, I'll do a quick welcome. Okay. So we're here from Sharks for Kids. Everybody.
We're live on Zoom. I'm just gonna
just making sure it's working. Yep, here we go. We're here from Sharks for Kids. We're doing a lot of webinars over the last few weeks and upcoming weeks. So if anybody is interested, please check out the website. The website also has a lot of good fun activities and games, and also downloadable resources for kids and also teachers. So make sure you go back to the website, www.sharksforkids.com, have a look around that. And also, if you have missed some of these, they are live streaming and also recording as well. So we will be posting them and posting links. So if you missed something or you want to watch it again, you can go back and watch it afterwards, which is pretty cool. All right, so a couple of things for people who weren't here originally, we have disabled the chat option. You cannot chat. However, if you do have questions, you can put them in the Q&A section. So click on the Q&A section and answer the questions. Now, a few things are, some of the questions I will go through and answer them as we are going through. And I will also be collecting a bunch of questions, especially the good ones. And we're going to be testing Filipe at the end with them. So I will gather all the questions and we will probably ask him about 10 questions at the end. Cool. Also, I'm sure that he's going to probably answer some of your questions during the chat. So keep your ears and eyes open for that. All right. So my name is Duncan Brake. I'm the media director for Sharks for Kids. And I also am a filmmaker and camera operator. And Filipe and I have quite a lot in common. So Filipe DeAndrade as well is an award-winning filmmaker. He was originally born in Brazil, and he actually came over to the States and grew up in Cleveland, where he was raised. He actually graduated from the University of Florida. So if there's any University of Florida fans out there, I'm sure, yeah, they're all probably doing the gator sign right now. I'm pretty sure Filipe is quite obsessed with gators, as well as the actual wildlife gators as well. After he graduated, he formed a production house with some friends called Comfort Theory. And in 2015, as a stepping stone, jumping into Nat Geo Wild, he won, I think it was the Inspire Short Film Competition with Nat Geo Wild. And then ever since then, he's been working on numerous projects and films, a lot for Nat Geo as a host in front of the camera and also behind the camera. Incredibly passionate young fella who's been all across the world, captured some amazing sequences with lots of animals, and is a testament proving that people can, from any walk of life, with whatever means and whatever path has been given to them, who has been able to achieve his goal. And if you've got enough passion and enough dedication, it doesn't matter what background you're from, you can do the job you want to, as long as you just stick to it and keep on that path. So a couple of other things is, if you want to see a little bit more about, which is on Wild and it's Untamed, he actually has a whole show on there that you can actually see lots of really, really cool stuff. So with that said and done, I will hand you over to Filipe, and I will mute my microphone and stop my video and let you take over, buddy.
All right, can you guys hear me? I mean, not that I would get an acknowledgement if you could or couldn't, because I can't see you, but I'm assuming that there's hundreds of thousands of excited wildlife warriors on the other side right now. And I want to thank you guys for joining, for being with me right now on this beautiful, beautiful, I don't know what day it is, on this beautiful day. And I'm excited to share with you what I do, because look, and it's hard to admit sometimes, but I have the best job in the world. It's not a job. Like, don't tell National Geographic this, but I would pay them to do what I do. And anyone who's fortunate enough to do what they love, to live out their dream and to have aspired to something and then to have achieved it feels the exact same way that I do. So even though I feel like I have the best job in the world, anybody else out there who's living out their dream feels the same exact way. My job just happens to take me to some of the most remote, wonderful, wildest, craziest corners of the world. And so that's what I'm going to be doing with you guys today, is sharing some of my adventures as a National Geographic Explorer, as a nature enthusiast, and as just an all around, I don't know how to explain it, like serial character. You guys are going to have to stay tuned. You guys are going to have to be quick on your toes because I'm super ADD. I jump all over the place. We're going to travel the world together today. So I hope you've got your snorkels, your fins, your tanks, your cameras, because we're about to jump in the ocean and see some of the most incredible, awe-inspiring creatures that this earth has to offer. Are you guys ready? You good? You in the water? Give me the okay signal. All right, let's gear up. Let's go. I'm going to start by showing you guys a hype video that I put together for this project about sharks in the ocean. Ready? Here we go. All right, let me make sure should I hit share screen, Duncan, or is it already sharing?
I can still see you, no problems. I think you just need to get your share screen for your PowerPoint presentation. That's it. I can see it. Perfect.
Okay.
Excellent.
You guys ready? Here we go. All right, you guys excited? You guys ready to go? You guys ready to see some sharks? Let's do it. I have been to all of those locations around the world, many different parts, and I would say about 95% of that stuff that I had shot, I had borrowed some stuff to put this hype video together for you, but I just wanted to show the diversity of the oceans, the diversity, the magnificence of sharks, so that we can get this thing kicked off right. All right, so who am I and what do I do? My name is Filipe DeAndrade. I was born in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, just a wonderful place to be from, where nature surrounds you. The monkeys come to you. The sharks are right in your backyard. It is absolutely inhabited with wildlife. And I believe that being born in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, that passion and enthusiasm for nature, it courses through my veins. And then when I was 6, I moved to Cleveland, Ohio. Not exactly sister cities, a little bit different of a spectrum, but still a wonderful place to be from. I wouldn't change it. But when I moved to Cleveland, I missed nature. I missed the outdoors. I missed animals more than anything. And so when I decided to pick a college, I picked the University of Florida so I could study wildlife ecology and conservation and film and combine those two passions, film and wildlife. in where I wanted to combine that, what I wanted to do with that was to become a National Geographic Explorer. And so I received my first grant from National Geographic about 2 years ago. And you can see in this photo, can you spot the Brazilian hairless hamster? He's the one on the bottom, either left or right of the photo, depending on how you're looking at it, in the shark onesie. Yeah, that's me. Notice how everybody else is dressed up, how everybody else looks professional, looks right, like looks the part of like a real legitimate adult in this world. Well, I didn't have any pants because I don't own pants because I'm always in the field. So I did the next best thing, bought a shark onesie, and that's me accepting my grant from National Geographic, taking a team photo. And what's best, I got to meet my idol that day. Have you guys ever heard of Sylvia Earle? She is the Jane Goodall of the oceans. And here she is autographing my shark onesie, and I'm in a complete state of euphoria. It was one of the greatest moments of my life. And she has done so much to protect our beautiful blue oceans. And the fact that I got to meet her on the same day where I accepted my grant when I was at National Geographic headquarters in DC, wearing a shark onesie, and then the mother of sharks, the protector of our oceans, autographed it, that kicked off life to another level for me. So what does it mean to be a National Geographic Explorer? Well, I'm a filmmaker, a storyteller, a researcher, and pretty much these are the kinds of contents that I make. I get to apply technology to the natural world. So you can see here a crocodile hatchling entering the water. This is a red-eyed tree frog in the country where I live now, Costa Rica. That's its magnificent startle coloration. They bulge those red eyes. This is the birth of a blue morpho butterfly. And then its first flight at 2,800 frames a second. That takes 1 second and slows it down into 2.5 minutes. This is a neotropical rattlesnake breathing in slow-mo versus regular speed. This is the yellow eyelash pit viper. They're arboreal, so they spend most of their lives in trees. They strike about half of their body length, grab a bird, and then bring it back into where they're at in the tree to eat it. And then one of my spirit animals, the hummingbirds. These things weigh as much as a penny, and they can hit almost 3,000 flowers in a single day. And they can remember almost every single food source when they make a huge migration over 2,000 square kilometers to feed. And remember every single food source along the way. And all that shaking that they're doing, that's shaking off the pollen, that's the dance of life. This animal, I found in my bed in Costa Rica. That's the bark scorpion. When you put it under a light, it glows in the dark. And then the glass frog. When you light it from above, you can see its internal organs, and that's it jumping away to freedom in the rain. So this is what I do. I try to combine technology with conservation so that I can inspire and educate. But to be an explorer, to be a filmmaker, you have to know how to use the technology. So before I could make that video, which was for a series called Under the Lights, I had to prove to National Geographic that I could use that technology because it's a camera that costs about $200,000. So when they asked me, do you know how to use this camera that costs as much as a house? I said, yes, here's the sample video. This is what we sent National Geographic when they asked us if we know how to use this camera that costs $200,000. Yeah, super professional stuff. And that's my roommate and best friend, Brian Magary. He always has to put a little extra sauce on everything, whether it's barbecue sauce, teriyaki sauce, and even when he's doing the lip thing. So why are we all here today? Sharks. This beautiful, great hammerhead Nobody can decide on her name. She's got about 5, 10 different names. Everybody claims that they found her first, but she is about a 13-foot great hammerhead that migrates to the Bahamas every single winter to feed on stingrays. And as you can see through that giant head, I don't know if you guys can see the pores on your screen on her face, but those are called ampullae of Lorenzini. So what she's doing when she's in the Bahamas is scanning the ocean floor, moving her head back and forth just like this to look for stingrays that bury themselves in the sand so that she can eat them. If you Google great hammerheads, Google will tell you that they're dangerous to humans. And then Google hasn't been one. So why is this animal considered dangerous? You can see here in this photo, she's swimming alongside one of my best friends, Jim Abernathy, completely peaceful, two crazy, wild, beautiful animals sharing the same liquid space. That's what I love to show about sharks. In this, if that female great hammerhead is my favorite individual shark in the world, this is my favorite type of shark in the world. I know a lot of you know what this is. This is the short fin Mako shark. And this is absolutely a torpedo with teeth. I photographed them off the coast of Baja in Mexico. As you can see, that conical nose, streamlined body, giant pelagic eyes, mouth full of teeth. These are the fastest sharks in the ocean. They can swim over 50 miles an hour in search of some of their favorite prey, tuna. Why are they fast? Because their prey is fast. And why can they go that fast? Look at that giant tail. They use it like a rudder. They cut through the water. They're perfectly streamlined and they move incredibly efficient with that quick twitch muscle. They come in, they look at you, they examine you, and then they're gone. It's an amazing shark to be in the water with, my absolute favorite shark to dive with in the world. And look at the skin of sharks. So their skin is made up of the same type of chemical, the same exact material that your teeth are made up of. So it creates less drag in the water. And this is the skin of a white-tip reef shark. And as you can see, it's all pointing towards the back of the shark to create less drag. And then their eyes are incredibly efficient. They're much better at seeing in the dark than we are. They like to hunt in the dark. And when their eyes can't see very well, then that's when the ampullae of Lorenzini, all those sensory organs take over. Everybody knows what this is, the great white shark. I saw my first great white shark for the first time last year in Guadalupe in Mexico. And this is a shot right after it dove out of the water, right after it breached. And then as it was coming back in, I heard the sound first, and then I turn over and I snap as many photos as I can. This is a lemon shark in Florida saying hi to a dive buddy. You can see she doesn't quite respect personal space. She's used to people off the coast of Florida and South Florida. So she's saying hello. This was over in Jupiter. And then that's her again, coming in, saying hi, showing us her beautiful teeth. And this is a tiger shark that I photographed in Bahamas. So what this beautiful, huge female tiger shark is doing is coming up and examining my dive buddy, Corey. And the best way to engage with the shark is to redirect them. You make eye contact, you let them know that you're a predator, they'll respect you as a predator, and then all you have to do is move them out of the way. A lot of times when there's shark accidents, it's because people act as prey. What happens when you run away from your dog? Your dog chases you. What happens when you swim away from a shark? A shark might chase you, but if you hold your ground, if you exude yourself as a predator, the shark is going to respect you like a predator. And then that's that beautiful great hammerhead again. And remember when I said she scans the ocean floor looking for stingrays? That's exactly what she's doing right here. And then that's from the underside. You can see the ampullae of Lorenzini better. You can see that mouth, how it's shaped towards the tail end of her body. That allows her to come up and scoop stingray when they're buried in the sand. It's not quite the mouth of like a tiger shark where it's in the front and they can come in and bite at the surface like tiger sharks love eating sea turtles. This is different. This animal is perfectly engineered. So sharks have been on the planet for about 450 million years. They've outlived the dinosaurs. And great hammerheads in general, were the last mega sharks to evolve around 80 million years ago, making them one of the most, if not the most efficient shark in the water. I absolutely love these animals. A lot of people say, why the strange head? Why not? All those sensory organs are spread across her beautiful face. That's her again. And then when you dive at one of my favorite dive sites in the entire world, this place is called Tiger Beach in the Bahamas. As soon as you park the boat, you can see that all the lemon sharks come to say hello. They're all there. They all know what's about to happen. You get in the water and you're immediately greeted by the most beautiful animals I've ever seen in my life. So this is a combination of lemon sharks, mostly Caribbean reef sharks, which are abundant in the Bahamas, incredibly important. And that's my buddy carrying the bait trail. We don't feed the sharks, but we do attract them with smell so that we can get them to come over and get close so we can get some images. And then that's all the sharks following that trail of smell on the bottom of the water. It's really only about 40 feet there. And I have an image, I have a perception of these animals when I think of them, when I jump in the water with them, because I study them, I research them, I know them. But to most people that have not been in the water with them, this is what they think of when they think of a shark. This is a beautiful tiger coming up to the camera. Bam, right down on the housing. Now, I know that's most people's biggest nightmare, but because we're researching tiger sharks in the Bahamas, I specifically went out there to get that shot. And it took me weeks, really almost months, to be able to achieve the shot of looking inside of a tiger shark's mouth. We completely coated the area with bait. We had strong fish scents. And I even took some fish scent and put it on my camera housing. I've got my camera housing right behind me. I'm going to show you guys what that looks like. So this is the camera that she bit down on. Pretend you're a tiger shark. You're coming in, bam, right there. So this is the housing that she came down on. And again, I tried to get that shot so I could show the inside of a tiger shark's mouth and I can show how they come in and feed. But it was very difficult to achieve. Even for an apex predator like the tiger shark, we had to do everything we could for weeks to try and get her to bite down on that. And the reason we had to try that hard is because sharks are not mindless man-eaters. They're not out there looking to eat whatever. Remember when I said they've been on the planet for 450 million years? They are biologically engineered to be perfect. They are evolutionary drivers. When they come after prey, they come after it for a specific reason, and we are not on their menu. I can promise you that. There are less than 5 human mortalities annually from sharks, but we are killing over 100 million sharks a year. So really, when we think about the mindless man-eaters, we need to point the finger back at ourselves, because these sharks, these perfectly engineered animals, they're there to do their job, and their job is to keep our oceans clean. I can't see your hands, but by a show of hands, how many people love the ocean? How many people love oxygen? How many people love breathing? How many people love a clean planet? Yeah, me too. That is why we need sharks around, because they are the vacuum cleaners of the ocean. Think about if you don't vacuum your house for a year, what happens? Disease, sickness spreads. That's what would happen to an ocean without sharks. So we need to become better stewards of sharks. There's over 500 different species, and we need to protect and preserve them, because a future without sharks means a future without us. So keeping in line with that, you can see these numbers right here. So if you want to take a screen grab of that, if you want to look at these numbers, these are the odds that you would get taken by a shark. 1 in over 3 million. The odds that you would die from heart disease is 1 in 5. So really, when they came out with the movie Jaws, they should have renamed it to the movie Snacks, because type 2 diabetes, high cholesterol, that is way more dangerous. That is way more scary than sharks. Are you kidding me? We should be more afraid of vending machines. More people are killed by vending machines falling on them than are actually taken by sharks. And all shark related mortalities are absolutely human mistakes. We have to understand how we're going to approach the water, how we're going to have a respect for these animals, and how we can learn to read their body language. Because sharks are talking to us. It just sounds different. It just looks different. So when you get in the ocean, when you get in a beautiful, serene, majestical place like the Bahamas, understand and know the environment that you're getting in and approach it responsibly and with respect, and you will have a beautiful, amazing interaction that you will come back for thousands of times, just like I have, just like Jillian and Duncan, and I'm sure many of you have, because we love the sharks. If you've ever seen in the water, there's nothing better. Nothing. No animal is more incredible than being immersed in their natural environment than a shark. So, the topic of today's talk is worth more alive. So we know why sharks are important. We see why they're amazing. We see why they're great at doing their jobs. But this is something that all the young people out there, I would like to share with you, is the theme worth more alive. The value of these animals is significantly higher when they are alive. So this photo right here was taken on one of my best friend, Dr. Austin Gallagher's shark research vessel. So what they're doing is they're not hurting the shark. This is a beautiful tiger shark. They're researching it. And Dr. Austin Gallagher and I just recently received a grant from the National Geographic Society. Right now I have an education grant and a research grant to go and study tiger sharks in the Bahamas. How wild is that? So what they're doing, they're pulling the shark onto the side of the boat. They're putting a tag on it so that we can see where the shark is going, its behavior, where it's going, if it leaves the Bahamas, how long it's staying in the Bahamas. And in order to protect these animals, you have to research them. You have to understand their movements. So what we're doing is Dr. Austin Gallagher and I are trying to be the first crew in the world to film tiger sharks giving birth and mating. And so we have exact coordinates of where they're traveling, where they're hitting once they're around the Bahamas, and where they're going after that. And we're going to try to deploy cameras to be able to capture this and show it with wildlife warriors like yourselves. Why? Because the power of photo and video breaks down walls. It opens up new worlds. I believe in the power of photography and video to communicate passion, inspiration, education with people all over the world so that we can understand this world better, we can understand ourselves better, and we can learn how to properly protect it. So if we can achieve this, and I believe that we will, because we have these tiger sharks perfectly down to a science. As you can see on this graph right here, created by Dr. Austin Gallagher's NGO, Beneath the Waves, you can see where this pregnant female tiger shark is going. Once it breaks 300 meters, which is the twilight zone, she's staying down there consistently, and it's likely that she's giving birth to tiger pups at depth, or she's even mating down there. Austin attached a dorsal fin cam to one of their pregnant tiger sharks and got them at depth, and potentially another male coming and trying to court her. So it's not just a matter of protecting, great spans of the ocean, horizontally speaking. It's a matter of protecting the oceans at depth, because the deep ocean, it's nature's secret. It's the other side of Narnia. How many people here have wanted to step onto the other side of the closet and seen Mr. Tumbless, or seen the lion speaking to you and reveal some of nature's greatest majesty and secrets? Right. That is, sorry for the extended Narnia reference. If you haven't seen it, go check it out now, and then this will totally make a lot more sense. But the depth, the deep ocean, the twilight zone, that is nature's secret. That is the other side of Narnia. So we have to protect the high seas. We have to protect oceans at depth if we're going to allow these animals to do their jobs. And when sharks do their jobs, we benefit. Why? Because around half of the world's population, about 4 billion people a day, depend on the oceans for their daily food source. Remember, you remove the vacuum cleaners, you remove the cleanliness, the beauty, and everything that we depend on to live. We got to protect it wide. We got to protect it deep. That's the point of this research. So one of the aspects of what I do that I love more than anything is education. I told you I have that research grant with Dr. Austin Gallagher. I was fortunate enough to go to Bimini for the first time a couple of months ago and meet some of my living idols, some of my biggest inspirations. And those people are the people that are putting together this webinar. They are all about education. They are all about shark conservation. They are all about inspiring the next generation of wildlife warriors. And that is Jillian and Duncan, our beautiful, amazing hosts that I'm so gracious to be a part of this project for. So here is Jillian taking out a local kid in Bimini and showing her her very first shark in the wild. And this is what they're doing with Sharks for Kids. So you can see the complete like just joy draped over this young child's face. And this is the first time she's seeing a shark. And if you look at the photo, you can see that she's holding Jillian's hand. Why? Because she was terrified. She was afraid. The last place she wanted to be in the world that day was in the ocean, was in the water with sharks. And I understand and I sympathize with that. But when she finally got over that fear, when Jillian showed her her very first shark, a different emotion came over. Fear was replaced with fascination. And why is it important to share this with kids, to share this with locals? Because you guys, I believe, are not just the future. When people say kids are the future, I think that's barely covering it. You guys are the right now. You guys are the solution to preserve our beautiful planet, to protect all the species and ourselves right now. We see kids all over the world stepping up, taking power, convincing their parents, convincing legislators to protect our beautiful planet because you guys understand that you are inheriting it. So that's why I believe that places, that teams like Shark for Kids are doing amazing work. And when I actually got to see it in person, I was mesmerized. I was so taken over by what you guys, Jillian and Duncan, are doing. So to the people on the other side of the screen, if you want to come to the Bahamas, you want to put together your own conservation projects, raise the money, come out there, see if you can get Jillian and Duncan, you know, if you can raise enough money to hire a boat for the day to have them teach you about these beautiful animals like these locals are experiencing right here. So these are some of the rays that are coming in, and you can see that all the kids in the background that are a little bit like on the fence about coming in, but then this one brave dude is out front, totally immersed in the animals world. So that's over in Bimini with Sharks for Kids. Another location that I'm obsessed with is Isla Mujeres, Mexico. This is an amazing conservation story. This beautiful animal that you're watching right now is the whale shark. It is the largest fish in the ocean. It can grow to over 40 feet long. That's the size of a small school bus. Imagine that animal coming at you, barreling at you, sift feeding, and hundreds of them. Why are there so many whale sharks in this area? Because the little toonie comes to the surface, spawns trillions of eggs, and then these sift feeders come over and eat them. So on the topic of worth more alive, some of the fishermen in Mexico used to see this large aggregation when there were hundreds of these giant animals, and they used to take them for their meat and for their fins. But when a couple of conservationists got together and tried to change that shark finning, that shark meat operation over into an ecotourism opportunity, guess what? The locals benefited. They make way more money protecting these animals, and the animals benefited. And now people come from all over the world to see these animals alive. Quick water break. So again, worth more alive. But it wasn't just the whale sharks in the mass congregation of Isla Mujeres that completely blew my mind that day. You want to know the animal that surprised me the most? All right, watch this video. This is my first genuine reaction to seeing this animal for the first time out of the water. You guys ready? Here we go. Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Yeah. That was me seeing a giant oceanic manta ray for the very first time. Jumping out of the water. My reaction was completely genuine. I couldn't even get the words out. I was saying, bro, my God, instead of, oh my God. And I was trying to tell Brian where the whale sharks were. And all of a sudden, this giant oceanic manta ray came out. So sometimes I like to think I'm professional. Other times, when an oceanic manta ray surprises you, I don't know how professional you can possibly be. You want to see that one more time?
I would shut it off and leave it there.
Right, bro, oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Yeah.
Oh my God!
Bro, my God. Okay. So this is what these giant pelagic pancakes, if you will, these giant oceanic manta rays are in the same area for. The exact same reason. They're feeding on that little toonie, on that spawning, on all those eggs. But when they saw us, when we got in the water, they came up to us after a little bit of time, after they saw that we were cool and we weren't going to harm them, and they revealed their stomachs to us just like this. They came right up to us and did backflips right in front of us, completely vulnerable, completely open, completely enjoying themselves, as were we. Guys, I was crying, like crying in my mask underwater, seeing these animals for the first time in my life this way. I absolutely fell in love with them. And that's the amazing part about nature. When you think that you're there for a specific reason, when you think that you have it figured out and you know exactly what the most amazing thing is in the area, nature goes, hold my chocolate milk. I got something else for you. And that something else for us was these giant oceanic manta rays. So why is this story significant? Because remember when I told you that the fishermen were using the whale sharks as meat and as fins before they turned it into an ecotourism opportunity? They were baiting sharks with these animals. They were catching the giant oceanic manta rays, cutting them up, and using them as shark bait. So not just one animal was dying, two animals, two important, incredible species were being taken for an economy that is entirely unsustainable. So again, worth more alive. And I fell on this theme. I got obsessed with this, and it became the title of my National Geographic story that I'm still working on now, that I'm going to be sharing with you guys very soon, because I had an amazing experience over on the other side of Mexico in Baja, on the beautiful coast next to the Sea of Cortez, where, oh wait, sorry, I've got one more pelagic pancake video to show you. Look at these animals, like are you kidding me? Imagine being in the water with these graceful, beautiful beings, the sun ray hitting them dancing in front of you, doing backflips in front of you. And again, the only way I can describe them is as pelagic pancakes, but don't try putting syrup on them. It's a bad idea. Just let them be, just give them their space, earn their trust, and you will metaphorically sink your teeth into the most delicious slice of life pie you've ever bitten into. I know that's a lot to take in. I don't know where my mind's going. Sometimes I'm like a serial character. Just run with it. So on the other side of Mexico, why was I there? Remember what I said my favorite animal was in the world? The Mako. Oh my gosh, I've got chill bumps thinking about this animal. And one of my best friends in the world, Regina Domingo, who's like my spirit animal in the shark community, who's like a hummingbird serial character herself. We started talking on Instagram about sharks, and she said, I will show you your first Mako. I went over there and I absolutely fell in love with these animals. Look at the way they cut across the water. They're perfectly designed as pelagic hunters. They can dive deep down into the twilight zone. They can cover great distances, and they're coming over to Baja to find a mate and to give birth. It's very important grounds, and they travel great distances, so they're exhausted by the time they get there, and they're also there to feed on the tuna that are there. So this is a short fin Mako in the open ocean. the rays coming down and hitting it. And you can again see that beautiful tail. You can see why they're so great at cutting across the water. They're perfectly engineered. But this is what's happening when they get there. So Reggie took us to a site where she is working on to preserve these animals. And she's got a documentary coming out, and it's all about working with local fisheries, working with local fishermen to change the perception of consuming these animals, of killing them and sending their fins over to Asia for the shark fin trade industry, for shark fin soup, which doesn't even have taste. All it does, all the shark fins do is provide a texture, and it's a status, like a status of like high class, which is it really high class to consume an endangered species? Is it really high class to take an animal out of the water that is like struggling to survive? And then this is what the result is. These people and these animals struggle. So this is the result of the shark finning operation. And this is right next to somebody's house. As you can see, they're really not living as well as they could be. That community doesn't have running water. Their kids don't have the available resources for education. And what's worse off is they don't have a future in this, because they are targeting endangered species and they're killing more than the ocean can provide for. So Reggie's work is incredibly important, and we need passionate individuals like her all over the world to go into communities, to work with fishermen, to understand the needs of locals, because I used to think that the people doing this were terrible people. But when I went over there and I saw the conditions that they were living in, I realized that all they are trying to do is provide for their families, to give their kids a future the only way that they know how. So if you have science, if you have education, if you have life experiences, and more importantly, if you have the heart and the passion to make this world a better place for humans and animals, you need to go to places where people are struggling, where people are doing things that maybe worked hundreds of years ago, but are not working right now. Immerse yourself in communities and cultures, understand the needs, and then, and only then, can you change it. Because we have to do this. And people see this image and they go, of course, in a far off remote place in the world, this is happening. Of course, in a third world country, of course, when people don't have options, right? That can be the only possible place where we're destroying nature. Well, we're also doing it right in our backyards in America, if that's where you're at right now. This photo was taken in Ocean City, Maryland, where it has the longest ongoing Mako tournament in the world. It's over 33 years they've been targeting these animals. And as the animals became endangered, they dropped the catch rate. So they know that we're losing them, but they're also going after the juveniles. They're selling the meat, which has the highest concentration of mercury in the world. Not a good idea to consume an animal that consumes other animals. As the top predator, it eats everything below it, does the Mako shark. Why is that a good idea to consume it? Mercury poisoning is the worst thing you want to put in your body. So we need to stop this right in our backyard, right in the United States of America, because it's not just in far off places where this is happening. Sorry, my internet cut out for just a second. I'm going to make sure that it's still running. All right, we're going. So it's also happening in the States. Transition over into one of my favorite animals in the world that I've never seen, obviously. Can you guys guess what this is? This, my friends, is the Megalodon. It is the largest shark to have ever lived, possibly over 60 feet long. It ate whales for breakfast. And this is a photo from National Geographic, what the Megalodon would look like. And you can see the human scale just below it. This is the largest Megalodon tooth ever found, over 8 inches. And it's owned by a private collector. And this is my friend Ane, who's also an amazing shark photographer, holding the largest Megalodon tooth ever found. That's over 8 inches. This is a photo of one of my friends for scale of what not even a full-grown Megalodon jaw would look like. Imagine that animal patrolling our oceans. The Megalodon ruled for around 20 million years. It went extinct about 3 million years ago. So finding one of these teeth means that you found a tooth that is possibly 23 million, right, million years old. So right in my backyard where I went to college in the University of Florida in Gainesville, Florida. If you guys are in Florida, if you guys are curious and want to be involved in shark conservation and learn more about sharks right at home, you don't even have to go to the ocean. Go to the local streams, go to the creeks. You can go sifting for shark teeth, find them, Megalodon teeth right in your backyard if you're in Florida. And this is a real shark tooth found in the St. Johns River. That's an ancestor of the great white. On the other side, that's a 3D printed tooth. And the top is my iPhone 11 for scale. But if animals are leaving fossil records behind, this is what we're leaving behind. Yeah, beer cans and plastic cups. So we got to be better stewards. We don't want in 20 million years from now, people to find our fossil records and all it is plastic water bottles and beer cans, right? That's why I've been drinking out of this reusable cup. It's important to take with you everywhere you go if we're going to preserve this beautiful planet. So my dream favorite place in the world is like Mother Nature's spirit. It's Mother Nature's core. It's her lifeline. And that is a place called Cocos Island, Costa Rica. So I currently live in Costa Rica right now, and this place is about a 2-day trip away by boat off the mainland. And once you get there, once you dive down to about 130 feet below the surface, the sun is blacked out by scalloped hammerheads. It is one of the largest aggregations of these beautiful animals on our planet. It's very important. Cocos Island follows an underground volcanic range all the way from Costa Rica over to the Galapagos. The sharks are there to feed. They're there to get cleaned. They go to cleaning stations and tiny little fish come in. They even clean their jaws. They've got dentists that pick all the parasites, all of the discarded meat. You know, like how when you guys eat an apple or something, yumsicles, and then you've got it stuck in your teeth and you floss. Sharks can't do that. They've got fins. They can't floss. So they open their mouths, they swim around, and tiny cleaner fish come in and remove all of that from their mouths. So it's very important grounds for them. But why I was there wasn't specifically for the hammerheads, it was for the Galapagos sharks. And it was to tell the story of the sharks that are tail whipping water onto the cliff's edge to knock nesting birds into the water so that they can go over and eat them. And this is what happened when we saw those animals in the water. I immediately come to the surface. I see one of the birds, the boobies I think that's a red-footed booby chick in the water. We go over to film the predation. And this is my buddy, Chris. Guess what happens? The bird crawls on top of Chris and uses him as a deterrent, as a lifeline, as a raft to separate itself from the shark. And then it got so comfortable on his shoulder that it fell asleep. How wild is that? Remember in Jurassic Park where, what's his name? I can't remember his name right now, but he goes, he's got the quirks and the tweaks. Nature finds a way. This is nature finding a way right now. This booby chick crawling up on my buddy Chris, separating itself from the shark. So we didn't get that predation. So we immediately switched over to white tip reef sharks hunting at night. And in order to film this, you got to enter the open ocean. You can see video of me here getting inside the water, an entirely pitch black abyss. And then you switch on the light and the sharks start to appear. Hundreds of them. The longest one at about 5.5 feet. So not a very formidable individual predator, but hundreds, if not thousands of them. And what are they doing? They're exhibiting the perfection of these animals. So in Cocos, all the fish have to hide. They keep their heart rate down because all these white tip reef sharks are looking in hiding spots, going underneath corals, going underneath rocks. As you can see, it comes up, bumps a pufferfish, not on the menu, and it keeps going. And so the fish have to do their best job to hide because if their heart rate goes up, then they trigger that predation response from the sharks, and then they can come over and get it. And so all these fish are doing a great job of hide and go seek, but this one, not so well. Got pushed out of its hiding spot by another shark. And then as you can see, the sharks go crazy. So these are hundreds of white tip reef sharks all around 5 feet feeding on these animals. Now, I know it looks like a grim scene. I know it looks intense, but better predators means better prey. Sharks are the keepers of the ocean. They are the balance keepers. They are there to make sure that everything that falls below them on the predation triangle is better because of their presence. So, switching gears a little bit, you just got to witness Cocos Island, Baja, Mexico, Isla Mujeres, Mexico, Bahamas, French Polynesia, South Africa, like all Florida, all these amazing wild places around the world. Where does that inspiration, where does that drive, where does that passion to see all those places and to film all these animals, where does that come from for me? That comes from my mom. And you can see her right here in this photo. I was fortunate enough to be raised by a single mother. And when I say fortunate enough to be raised, this woman took us from Brazil, gave us an opportunity in the United States of America where we were forced into hiding, being raised as illegal immigrants. You know, for almost 14 years, we had to struggle. We had to fight for every single thing that we had. And when I finally got an opportunity to chase my passion, to chase my dreams, and to live my true north, to live my passion, I wanted to work for National Geographic, and I wanted to share with people the animals that gave me meaning and that gave me purpose. Because when you grow up an illegal immigrant, when you grow up in a difficult circumstance, and I'm sure that some of you sitting at home are in scenarios, are in situations that are a little bit difficult to deal with. But I want to tell you firsthand, and I genuinely mean this, I want to tell you from experience that if you stay positive, that if you chase your dreams, that if all you care about is making this world a better place, not just for yourself, but for those around you, you will not become a product of your environment. You will change this world for the better. And there's a lot of things that I want to keep doing. There's a lot of dreams and aspirations that I have for myself that I haven't quite achieved, that I'm almost on the cusp of doing, but it's the foundation of strength, of purpose, and of having a beautiful, wonderful, driven jaguar of a mom pushing me to do that. And that's why I don't fear anything. You know why? Because I've learned all about fear. I've lived through every possible circumstance that you could possibly live through in life. And the biggest thing I ever feared is that woman right there, that 5-foot Brazilian mom. You know why? Because she looks sweet and nice in the photo, but this is what she turns into when she's mad. How many of you have single moms, or how many of you are Spanish or Latina or Brazilian? Have you ever been thrown a shoe at? Like, have you ever caught a shoe in the head from an angry mom? Yeah, you know the difference, the gears that can switch when a single mom just has had enough. It's time to go to bed. It's time to do your homework. And they don't want to hear what you have to say anymore. So that's what she turns into. So that's my spirit animal. I've got a couple of spirit animals: hummingbirds, a 93-year-old woman named Marcy, a Mako shark, a bobcat, and a jaguar, which is also a metaphor for my mom. So what am I doing with all these photos and videos? What am I doing with this life experience? What am I doing where I want to make the world a better place? I'm applying all these images and all of this content to my environmental education program. So we wrote a grant to National Geographic Society to be able to implement environmental education into the entire public school system of Costa Rica. And that's what we're doing. We took out kids to see these animals for the very first time. They got to see whales jumping. They got to see the oceans. And if we protect our beautiful planet, then this is what we have for our future. We can go to the Bahamas. We can share this with kids, with the next wildlife warriors. And instead of seeing coral bleaching happening all over the world in single sharks, we can see scenes like this over in the Bahamas that are full of life, that are beautiful, and that are sustainable. We cannot exist on this planet without sharks, without the majesty of nature. So let's do our part. And through this program, maybe we can have the future Jane Goodall of sharks, like this young lady here who lost her mind when she saw her first whale, and then we took her snorkeling with sharks. Thank you guys for checking it out. There's my Instagram handle. There's the link to Nat Geo Untamed. And yeah, let's talk. What do you guys have to say?
Awesome. All right. Thank you so much, Filipe. That was great talk. Let's see. If you can get your screen share off there, that'd be great, mate.
Screen share off. Stop video.
Go viewing.
Share. Pause share.
Yep.
How's that?
Stop share. There we go. Can you get stop share?
Yes, there we go.
Awesome. There we go. Perfect. All right. That was excellent. Thank you so much for the talk. We've got, we're a little bit over time, so I'm going to try and rattle off a few quick questions for you, buddy.
Sorry, I knew I was sorry.
No worries. It's good. It's good to be excited and passionate. And it was great to actually travel all across the world and see so many cool places and cool critters as well.
How was the internet? I think it cut out a little bit. Was it all right?
No, it's stayed good the whole time.
Amazing.
All right. So first question we've got off here this is from Jason Collins, and he is wondering, okay, you're obviously fine about sharks now, but when you were a kid, were you scared of sharks? How did you feel about them?
Jason, amazing question, because a lot of times people see people like me or Duncan or Jillian.
Oh, I've lost them. All right, I'm still here. I think we've just lost him a second. I don't know what's going on here. I'm going to try and get Filipe back. Just give us a moment.